Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I, as always, am Grestar, and this is another reaction to a death battle, Darth Vader versus Obito Uchiha. As always, the link to the original is in the description below. So we have Darth Vader from Star Wars versus Obito from Naruto, and I don't know if I knew this before, or if I just learned it from the title. I mean, that's where I feel like I just learned it. I didn't know Obito was an Uchiha as well. So, that's a thing, and last time in the, next time on Death Battle, I referred to him as Toby, and people did confirm, and my Google seemed to as well, that he did take on the alias of Toby after some bad stuff went down. So I also had the thought that Darth Vader was going to win this one, and my main reasoning was that Darth Vader is an incredibly powerful Force user, and that Star Wars can just get really powerful in general. With, again, Darth Vader being one of the most powerful Force users, as far as I'm aware, just from what, blogs have talked about, right? Not the most powerful, but, among them. And there was the result, I mean, because a lot of that I would learn from, Obi-Wan versus Kakashi, right? But then later on, first the comments, they were split. A lot of people were saying that Darth Vader would win, a lot of people were saying that Obito would win. And people did bring up a good point that I hadn't really thought about, which was Madara versus Aizen. And Madara did have a lot of impressive stuff, and I don't know if Obito is on that same level, but I could see it happening. And so let's say Obito is on Madara's level, right? I don't know what that means for Darth Vader. I don't know if that would be enough to beat him, or if Darth Vader would still have the upper hand in some way. I really don't know. And as far as the most powerful Force user and all that goes, I don't know what the Legends and the extended universe or expanded universe or whatever it's called, right? I don't know what that really gives Vader compared to Obi-Wan, because I know that Obi-Wan is really impressive. And not to say that Vader's not impressive by any means, but I think that Obi-Wan's probably overall more impressive than Vader. At the very least, Obi-Wan can actually move. He's not, more machine than man. So he's got that going for him. I do know a couple things already that are going to be tossed around. I mean, Darth Vader being an ace pilot, right? And I don't know if he's done anything in light speed, hyperspace kind of stuff where he wasn't on a hyperspace route and he had to do his own stuff on the fly. Who knows? Because the Force could potentially guide someone like that, but it would mean something for someone's reaction time and movement speed to be able to do things like that, as we saw with Rocket versus Stitch, right? And I know that Darth Vader, using the Force, he has basically an infinite supply because the Force is all around him and he can just tap into that, whereas Obito will have a limited reserve of chakra within himself. I assume that Obito is going to have all of this illusory sort of stuff, illusions. But I don't, with, Genjutsu, right? But I don't know if Vader has stuff that can see through illusions. Darth Vader obviously has, his lightsaber, which could definitely deal damage. And I wonder just about, the crushing potential of the Force itself. Because I know that Darth Vader can lift just, whole ships and stuff. I don't know if he's actually at the point of, I forget the name of the guy in, Force Unleashed, right? Who just, pulled down a Star Destroyer. I assume Darth Vader would be at least at that level. I assume, but I could be wrong. And if you have the power to do that with your mind, I wonder what you could do just crushing an opponent with your mind as well. But I really just don't know what Obito has going for him, so I can't really say anything more at this point. So with that, let's get to watching. So here we go. Darth Vader versus Obito. Take it away.
Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith.
Obito Uchiha, secret leader of the Akatsuki.
Prime examples of how you could die a hero or live long enough to become a villain.
He's Liz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and
so
skills.
So Obito was good then, I assume, at first.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away,
right,
the Iron Fist of the Galactic Empire ruled everything.
All thanks to the super powerful super murderer, Darth Vader.
Yay!
Beneath his spooky mask lay the husk of former nice guy.
I would actually blame Emperor more than
As a child
Vader.
Among the harsh wastes of Tatooine, Anakin longed to one day free his fellow slaves as
I
a
don't know,
heroic Jedi.
I definitely have to just rewatch stuff, but it seemed like Vader was more of a puppet than anything.
Chosen one and would bring balance to the Force. No pressure, right? So he took him under his wing to become the papa he never had. Or so was the plan, until...
Yeah.
Instead, Qui-Gon's apprentice became Anakin's mentor. But while Anakin sought a father figure, Obi-Wan saw him as more of a brother.
I'm sure that won't cause any awkward tension whatsoever.
No.
Drama and trauma aside, Anakin quickly became a powerful Jedi. He excelled in lightsaber combat and the Force, an energy field that binds all living things together.
The Force lets Jedi move stuff with their mind, fend off mental attacks, predict the future, and make people believe these aren't the droids they're looking for. They're basically space wizards.
So I don't know if the
Rigorous
mental
training
attacks
and a
would
noticeable
deal with
natural
illusions.
talent, Anakin was particularly skilled in the Form 5 lightsaber fighting styles, Xian and Jem So.
Also known as the Way of the Crate Dragon. You know
Okay.
that big sand dragon made
I do.
blew up from the inside?
Yeah.
Make that a lightsaber.
Form 5 is incredibly versatile, well suited for defending against lightsaber and blaster alike. It focuses on blending parries with devastating counterattacks, aiming to win duels through overwhelming pressure.
Okay.
Perfect for the Padawan who just bulldozed his way through training to become a Jedi Knight.
Even as a newly knighted
But not a
Jedi,
master.
Anakin could keep up with some of the most experienced Jedi Masters and Sith Lords of his time.
But he had plenty of other problems to deal with,
Yes.
like his late-blooming rebellious teenage angst. I mean, you don't just throw a kid into space monk school and expect him to forget everyone he ever cared about, right? Well, apparently that's what he was supposed to do.
The life of a Jedi can be difficult and cold, something Anakin could not accept.
Yeah.
And so, rather than let his secret wife die in childbirth, he was seduced to the dark side through the promise of power.
And so began his Jedi kill streak, until
Kill
Obi-Wan
streak.
gave him a glorious lava bath. How refreshing.
Yeah.
Thanks to his new Sith Master Palpatine, our young warrior was saved, reborn, rebuilt. He was now Darth Vader.
Vader is a badass. Everyone knows it, and they're
He is a
terrified
drama
of him.
queen,
I mean,
yes.
just look at the guy.
As impressive as his armor appears, you might be surprised by its quirks.
What?
See, while the Jedi view the Force as an ally, the Sith see it as a tool from which they draw power through passion and emotion. Most potently, negative emotions. Palpatine trained Vader by not only making him believe he killed his wife, but also ensuring he would never forget the monstrous machine he had become.
By making
Ah.
the suit suck ass and piss him off. Seriously, Vader hates this suit.
The armor would beep at random times just to annoy him, and the life support system was outdated from the start. Sometimes it would even turn off for several minutes.
That
Wow.
doesn't seem good for someone with burnt up lungs.
And it was so heavy and clunky that he could barely walk,
Aw.
sometimes even resorting to moving
Hey,
himself
Robot Chicken.
with the Force.
Oh man, I knew Palpy was evil, but I never knew he was such a dick.
I didn't know.
Despite these
I
issues,
think
the
I've
armor
heard that
fulfilled
kind of
its
thing
true
before, but I
purpose, crafting
never
Darth Vader
confirmed
into the
like
equivalent
this.
of a slasher movie villain commanding a galactic army.
Nobody wants to mess with him. Thanks to the dark side of the Force, he can make maelstroms that blast everything away, form barriers that shield from all sorts of attacks, and choke anything that's even a minor inconvenience. Hell,
Yep.
sometimes he skips straight to crushing your lungs.
Oh!
One time, a droid named I-5 tried to kill Vader with a laser stated to move 300,000 kilometers per second. That's light speed, and Vader easily blocked it.
And for as much bullshit as Palpatine threw at him, Vader was tough enough and stubborn enough to push through it.
Palpatine knew that Vader would eventually try to kill him and take over the Empire. It's how the Sith work.
Yeah.
So he constantly fanned Vader's hatred by sending assassins after him to make sure he was still worthy of being his apprentice.
Oh!
Oh, that's nothing. One time, he blasted off most of Vader's robo limbs, destroyed his armor, dropped him back on the lava planet, and told him to make his way back without the Force.
An
Oh.
impossible task, yet one Vader accomplished.
Yeah, because he really wants to kill Palpatine.
I
And
see.
that hatred is apparently useful in keeping Force wielders alive, and has sustained many Sith in conditions that would otherwise kill them.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Liam Neeson. Should have hated a little more.
Survived the planet
Vader has
exploding
killed
while on it.
hundreds,
Wow.
possibly thousands of Jedi, including Obi-Wan himself. He's fought entire armies on his own, and even taken on monsters the size of mountains.
He's so unstoppable, an assassin droid hired to kill him quit the job because he calculated that Vader was impossible
Cannot be
to
defeated.
kill.
And in Ewoks material from the old Legends canon, a real deep cut, we know, lesser dark side users like the Night Sister Shiral overpowered the Sunstar, an ancient artifact capable of shifting moons, a feat which would require energy worth over 12 septillion tons of TNT.
Wow, okay.
24 zeros. But if you want something more recent, here's a planet blowing up while Vader was on it, and he's fine.
Yes.
But thanks to both his incredible power and the mercy and trust of his secret son, Vader would eventually avenge the atrocities of Palpatine. Even more important, he
That was
finally
pretty
saved
wizard.
someone he loved. Ultimately, Anakin Skywalker truly did bring balance to the Force.
Well, alright. Now for Obito.
Hokage, the leader of the Hidden Leaf Village and their strongest ninja, respected and loved by all. Though few have attained this title, many have strived for it.
Of
One
course.
such striver, sadly lacking in parents, wanted to both help people and be acknowledged by the rest of the village. And what better way to do that than having your face carved into a mountain?
There you go.
If you think of talking about Naruto? Guess again! This is the story of Obito Uchiha!
Well, I'm sure
Obito
you're talking.
unfortunately lacked the
Oh,
natural
that's
talent for
Obito.
ninja arts attributed to his Uchiha bloodline.
So he signed up for ninja school and eventually joined
I was just gonna
a team
say it
with
applies
his
to
rival
Naruto as well.
Kakashi, his crush Rin, and their leader Minato. Where do you think I could get into a ninja school like that?
Not one that teaches you to harness this form of chakra, a limited form of physical and spiritual energy that
Thank
exists
you,
inside
Sakura.
all human beings and, naturally, can be weaponized.
Of
He
course,
can
yeah.
use it to run up walls and make clones of himself, but even better, blow shit up.
This is ninjutsu. Among its many techniques include elemental attacks, and the Uchiha specialize in all things fire.
Big fireballs, small fireballs, waves of fire, columns of fire, you name it, they've got it.
Lots of
So
fire,
when Ninja
cool.
World War III came along, it totally made sense to get this fire ninja involved at the age of 11. Yikes! Well, lucky for Obito, he had one more secret weapon up his sleeve, eye socket, the Sharingan.
Okay,
The
because yeah,
Sharingan
Uchiha,
grants
fair.
extremely precise vision, allowing someone to see the flow of chakra, predict an enemy's attacks, cast a variety of genjutsu illusions, and even break out of said illusions.
Too bad he didn't get to use the red eyes much. Like 10 minutes after he got the damn things, he got smushed under a big rock. What
Aw.
a way to go! But since he wasn't expecting to use his super eyes anymore, he handed one off to Kakashi. And then he died.
And then he
The
died.
end! Just kidding!
Miraculously, Obito survived long enough to be rescued by another Uchiha, the legendary Madara. Madara
Oh.
granted Obito a new body, regenerating the limbs he'd lost.
You're probably thinking, oh, what a swell guy. Except he was not. Madara was brewing some plans for world domination and needed a pawn to carry them out.
Very much
So he
not a
tricked
swell
Obito
guy.
into watching Kakashi kill Rin, making him fall victim to the Uchiha's curse of hatred.
Within the Uchiha clan, there exists an ideal of being extremely devoted to love.
Okay.
It has been speculated that if a particularly powerful Uchiha loses someone important to them, that love will be replaced with an all-consuming hatred.
I see.
This is how Obito awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan.
Ah!
Red Eye 2.0. The Mangekyo gave him a new jutsu called Kamui. With it, he can suck his foes into another dimension and leave them there to die. He can even hide weapons in there until he needs them, like his gun by fan. But even better, he can phase through stuff.
Well, not quite. Kamui gives Obito the power to move through objects in a manner that's similar to the common phasing superpower akin to the Flash or Kitty Pryde. In reality, it's much more complex, as Obito is actually teleporting parts of his body into the Kamui dimension whenever they overlap with other matter.
Oh.
See, there's his body parts right there.
Oh!
If it looks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's phasing. Heads up! Yeah!
Poor robot.
Way later on, he also got another super eye. Man, he's really swapping these things around like a Prime sub on Twitch.
This Rinnegan grants Obito the power of the 6 paths, giving him some nifty abilities like controlling gravity with the Deva path, ripping out souls with the human path, and summoning giant monsters with the animal path.
With all of the awful stuff he'd gone through, Obito realized that the ninja world was corrupt to its core. His
Yeah, imagine
dream
that.
of everyone being happy and working together was never gonna happen. So instead, he agreed to carry out Madara's Giga Brain plan to control everything.
Donning
Okay.
masks and multiple personas, he recruited a number of rogue shinobi to form the Akatsuki terrorist group and kicked off Ninja World War IV, all to revive the monstrous Ten Tails.
Oh.
I know what you're thinking. Wasn't the whole point of this to stop war in the first place? And that's a very good question. Anyway, the Ten Tails!
A living mass of near inexhaustible chakra, the Ten Tails possesses tremendous power. It can create massive thunderstorms and hurricanes, multiple clones of itself, and the devastating tailed beast bomb.
Forget bomb! That's basically a super nuke! This chakra ball is so explosive, it can eclipse continents and reduce mountains to dust.
Comparing the surface area of this blast to the surrounding mountains, dispersing that much mass within a fraction of a second must have yielded a kinetic energy worth over 13 septillion tons of TNT.
Oh, that is more than the
That's
Vader feat
24
of the
zeros.
moons
Again,
thing.
Obito wanted that power for himself.
That one was
and
12
willing
septillion.
to throw hands with anyone to get it. He's held up against master ninjas like Kakashi, Minato, and even Naruto in his Monster Energy drink form, which can outmaneuver the fastest attack from the Lightspeed Raikage.
And he far surpassed all of them when he finally sealed the Ten Tails within himself, becoming its Jinchuriki. This little makeover granted him unlimited flight, power rivaling the legendary Sage of Six Paths, and the Truth-Seeking Orbs.
These
The Truth-Seeking
special
Orbs,
little
that's
bowling
right,
balls
yeah.
can shapeshift into any form the user wants, like a staff, giant arms, an umbrella thing, or this crazy spiral blade that apparently helped shape the whole world. Oh, holy shit, it's huge!
The Truth-Seeking Orbs can completely disintegrate anything they touch at both a molecular and spiritual level.
Gotcha.
Only those with the power of the Six Paths can resist their effects.
Plus, with the Mangle monster in his system, Obito's regeneration got amped to the point where he can survive having half of his body Control-Alt-Deleted away.
Wow.
With cards in his hand, he was ready for the final stages of the Giga Plan.
He summoned the God Tree and prepared to launch the Infinite Tsukuyomi, a powerful illusion that would trap the entire world in a never-ending dream,
Wow.
free of conflict and sorrow.
But
Oh.
the violent cruelty of the ninja world could only quiver in fear when the anime protagonist walked in the room. After getting one-two'd by some talk no jutsu, Obito saw within Naruto the spirit of his former self, someone who was always trying to help others. And they'd say his heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Obito joined Naruto and Kakashi in saving the world.
Oh,
giving
look
his
at that.
life to protect his friends. And in his last moments, he entrusted them with reaching the dream he had so long ago, to become Hokage, of which they both succeeded.
Though
Well
he
done.
may have lost his ninja way, Obito Uchiha overcame his hatred and helped realize the world he wanted.
Cool. All right.
All right, the combatants are
Well.
set. We've run the game through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle! And pause. Okay, so actually right now, I have switched my thinking. I think that Obito is going to win. Because like I was waiting, like I was very impressed by Darth Vader's stuff, and I was waiting to see like certain counters or again like numbers matching up. And Obito seemed to exceed Darth Vader's, or match if not exceed, you know? Like, we have the thing with the 12 septillion, which I think was about like the moons. I don't remember. It was from the Ewoks thing, right? And then we had 14 septillion tons of TNT from like the super nuke. And the one thing that I do question is Darth Vader survived a planet just exploding while he was on it. Because I think that would, I feel like that would be more powerful than the 12 septillion thing, but they didn't give numbers to it, and so I don't know how to measure it. And so I kind of just have to go with what I know, I suppose. But there are other things beyond that, of course. Darth Vader had his light speed, where the robot, the droid, right, was going to assassinate him with the laser that was moving the speed of light, and Darth Vader easily reflected it. But we have Obito also fighting someone who was moving at light speed. And so I also think that Obito's in this case would be more impressive, because if he's fighting someone who can move at light speed, versus like Vader blocked a projectile that was moving at light speed. One is a lot more consistent. One requires more like stamina, endurance, and just like follow through, I suppose. You know what I mean? Whereas Vader's was a one and done. And not to say that I don't think he could do more than just that one, but that's all that he's proven to do as far as has been presented to me, as far as I understood it. So Obito seems to be more impressive in that sense. Darth Vader doesn't have regeneration. Unless I missed it, you know? I mean, that's why he's like more machine than man, again, to use that, right? Because he did not fare too well on Mustafar, and, you know, had to have all of his healing stuff done on him to basically bring him back from the edge of death. He does have where the dark side can sustain them, you know, beyond where, like, a person would normally be able to survive, right? We've seen that before. They mentioned that, so the dark side of the Force is helping sustain him, but he can't heal. And you can only do so much with that sustain. Whereas Obito apparently had like half of his body just obliterated, like actually wiped out, and he regenerated from that. I do wonder still about like the effects of like force crushing him, like force crushing his lungs even, right? Something like that. I don't know, like, if there's that kind of constant strain put on Obito's body, could he heal from that? I don't know, frankly. But I do know that Obito has some things that Vader could not heal from. Like, if Obito sucked out his soul, or if Obito just left him in another dimension, because he can apparently just do that. And it said, I saw a little bit in the box, he doesn't even have to do it consciously. And that's like part of his phasing thing too, right? It doesn't have to be a conscious thing, it just happens. And then he has like the truth-seeking orbs, or whatever they were called, right? That just destroy physically and spiritually whatever they come into contact with. And Darth Vader is not on the path of the Six or whatever, and so he does not have a way to combat that. I don't think the Force would be able to do anything there. And then Obito has his illusions, and I know that the Force can help with like mind tricks and things like that. I don't know if that necessarily applies, or like to what extent Vader is able to ward things off, because he has that capability, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's like good enough at it to be able to ward off something at the level where like Obito was going to put everyone in an illusion like for forever, right? And to be able to do that, like the scale of that, it's a tall order, you know, it's a big ask. So it seems to me that like the Force itself is very, very versatile, but beyond that, I would say that Obito seems to have more versatility. He also probably has more experience in the sense that he's gone up against more variety, more versatility himself, Obito. But I guess Darth Vader does have experience in terms of just probably, I assume, age, you know? They're both kind of leading like armies and such, but I really did feel like the Emperor was doing more of that work. I guess I don't know what Vader was actually. I thought he was more of like a figurehead, you know? But again, like also just a puppet for the Emperor. Whereas Obito was like apparently leading the Akatsuki, which is a very elite, you know, dark ninja group, right? The speed seems to be at least the same, otherwise I would put it in Obito's favor. Durability, or like what they can, you know, like put out, seems to be in Obito's favor. Again, I'm basing this off of the 14 septillion tons of TNT versus Darth Vader's 12 septillion tons of TNT, but I do wonder if that 12 septillion is actually worse than him surviving the planet blowing up. Because I wouldn't think a super nuke would be the same as a planet, because the super nuke was only covering a continent. You know, and so like it seems surely that's weaker than the planet, but I just don't know how to measure that, and so I just have to not think about it too much. But then again, with the soul-sucking thing, with the dimension-trapping thing, with the truth-seeking orbs thing, I feel like Obito has more surefire ways to finish Darth Vader off, where Darth Vader, like, he might have ways, you know, because of, like, the constant force-crushing kind of thing, but I don't know how that would interact with Obito's regeneration, so a lot of Darth Vader stuff for me is just more up in the air, like, maybe this could work, kind of, but Obito seems more, like, sure. Where I know Obito could kill Darth Vader if certain things fell into place, and Darth Vader might be able to kill Obito if certain things fell into place. So based upon that, I have to go with Obito. Obito is going to win this one, and play.
I sense your fear, your anger, and...
What an entrance.
I will be taking it. That power will save this cursed world. You'll have to pry it from my cold, dead hands.
That's the plan.
Then you will die. What?
Ow!
Easy. I expected more.
And his clothes are gonna be just fine. Well, there's some of that fire jutsu. Good trick, sir. Ow! What was Obito doing there that pushed him back?
You've lost your humanity as well.
On the path of the dark side, it is inevitable.
I assume that's the, yeah, that's the 10-tail.
Impressive.
Or wait, no, was that the 10-tail? I thought the 10-tail was darker in color. That's pretty cool looking, not gonna lie.
No. This is inevitable.
You got this, Obito. I'm rooting for you. Oh. Did he try to catch it, or was he just slow on the force? It's cool. Cool reveal without the mask, the helmet.
Accept this gift and die.
Too late.
His eye's back. Is this the other dimension or the forever illusion? This seems like the forever illusion, where he gets to be happy.
You are liberated from hell. Find peace in the next life.
Did he move, or is it... This looks like a KO. This is a KO! Yeah, alright!
Well, Vader may have been able to beat Obi-Wan, but he just couldn't handle Obi-2.
This was a very complex matchup. Both Darth Vader and Obito were roughly even in power and speed, so it truly came down to their skill and arsenals.
And boy, did they have some deep bags of tricks. Even some of the same tricks. Both could fend off mental attacks. Both could move things around with their minds. And they both even had options to instantly kill each other.
Vader could simply force crush Obito's body, but Obito could just as easily rip out Vader's soul. However, Obito had a few more impressive options available to him, edging out just enough to earn a win.
For starters, Kamui made Obito extremely difficult just to touch, let alone injure. And as a Jinchuriki, he could regenerate from half of his body getting destroyed.
Yeah.
While the dark side could help Vader survive extreme conditions, it obviously can't regrow limbs.
Yeah,
Plus,
yeah,
thanks
yeah.
to his wide array of jutsu, Obito would eventually overwhelm Vader. While chakra may normally be a limited source of energy, unlike the Force,
But they
the
talked about he had a
Ten-Tails
nearly
provided
immeasurable.
Obito with an unlimited
Yeah.
supply. And since chakra is both spiritual and physical energy, this means Obito would be able to fight on indefinitely.
Last but not least, Vader's preference for lightsaber combat means that he'd be up close and personal with Obito, right? Which left him vulnerable to getting disintegrated by one of the many truth-seeking orbs. Or even worse, sucked up into the Kamui dimension. Yeah, don't forget about that.
Yeah, I
Not
didn't-
only would he have no way out, he probably wouldn't even be able to tap into the Force while stuck there. Game
Oh.
over. Have fun starving to death, I guess. Wonder how long you can feed on hate.
Darth Vader may have had a tenacity that few others could match, but against Obito's similar might, busted regeneration, and overwhelming range of abilities, there was no escape.
In the end, Vader's victory just wasn't meant to be.
The winner
Nice.
is Obito Uchiha.
Claps for Obito.
Thanks
Very
for
cool.
watching. Stay
You're
tuned. We have a
welcome.
new Death Battle releasing every 2 weeks this year.
Sounds
and click
good.
the join button to get new perks and extra content. Planet level members even see Death Battles before anyone else, so don't miss out.
Y'all ready? Next time on Death Battle. Oh, Jean Grey, the Phoenix. Oh, versus Raven. Wow, Phoenix versus Raven. Oh, that's gonna be cool. I mean, like, I don't know what Raven... I mean, I know that, like, they've both been in a death battle before, right? I know Raven has, like, Raven versus Twilight, right? Which is cool because both Terra's strong. I feel like Jean Grey has as well, but I can't think of it, what it was. I just know that the Phoenix Force is ridiculously powerful, and so I wonder what Raven would have that would be able to counter that. I know Raven has a bunch of her own, like, she could just create stuff, right? But I don't know how powerful she actually gets. So right now, I would have to lean toward Jean Grey winning, just because, again, like, Jean Grey was already ridiculously powerful, but then you have the Phoenix Force, where, you know, like, Jean is, oh gosh, what are they called? The Omega level mutants? The highest level, right? She, like, you know, with like Storm and Professor Xavier. So Jean's really powerful. But anyway, let's talk about this death battle. So I was right, yay me. I'm glad that, I mean, I didn't think it was, the things that I picked up on, they weren't like subtle things where you had to like convert different calculations or anything like that, really. Cause it was like they said that like they were almost matching in power. So they didn't even mention that like Obito seemed to have like 2 septillion tons of TNT more power, which maybe at that point it doesn't mean as much, but I think 2 septillion tons is, I think that's worth, you know, remarking about. And then being like about the same speed, you know, at light speed. But then just like the, yeah, dark side of the force sure can sustain longer, but that's not the same as like being able to regenerate, you know, half of your body being missing. And I assume like in a battle regenerate, not just over time, whereas Vader clearly could not regenerate. The versatility that Obito had. So they were saying that Darth Vader did have resistance at least to like mental trickery, to illusions and things like that. But clearly he was tricked by stuff. I guess it does have to be a conscious effort on his part, and so he could still be surprised by things. And of course, if you're in an illusion like at the very end there, you probably don't want to like leave that illusion, you know? Yeah, he was happy. That was sweet. But that's just to say that like I'm satisfied with my prediction, and I'm satisfied with the conclusion. It made sense to me. Like I just appreciate the way that they broke things down. I didn't really have any complaints about that this time. As for the animation, I mean, likewise, actually, I don't really have any complaints for this one. This, I think, was one of the better animations that Death Battle has had in a while. Like, both in terms of the story that it presented, like, the story it presented I thought was really good. You know, it was kind of weird, sure, with Darth Vader just kind of appearing and deciding to fight him, you know, like, fair enough. But, you know, the motivations that were there, they seemed legitimate enough for me to, like, get behind it. It's just more like, why was he there? How did he know to come there? It just must have been like a disturbance in the force sort of deal. Maybe he even straight up said. Either way. It was just like really well done, I thought, like artistically speaking, and like it just made sense organically within the animation. How we got to see all of their different like skills and abilities come out and come to play, and how they would kind of counter each other, with like Force versus Obito being able to just move things with his mind, which I completely forgot about. With the truth-seeking orbs. I loved the way that they actually showed like a change in the characters physically. You know, with Obito eventually getting his transformation and like with, you know, like sleeves being ripped off and stuff like that. With Darth Vader, like you'd see like a hole at first in the mask where you can see like the Sith evil orange glowing eye kind of thing, right? And then his mask, like the top of this helmet coming off, and you could see just like his scarred head and everything. It was just a really cool like evolution, where you can see the characters themselves like changing, like evolving through the battle, in, you know, realistic enough ways where it's like, yeah, they're fighting, damage is gonna happen, but it just looked really cool with the way that they presented it. Like, not just the fact that they did it, but with how they did it as well. You know, being able to like show us like they didn't do slow-mo or anything, but they focused for a moment on Darth Vader's face when his helmet came off, and it was just a really cool moment, I thought. Very cinematic. I liked the dialogue between the two and like the realizations that were made, you know, by the characters, like, you know, like those moments you could tell. You know, as far as like Obito realizing like, oh, he has the Force. I mean, he didn't realize that necessarily, but that he was doing something from a distance. And the way that they used the illusions, I thought, was like really well done, especially the one at the very end, because again, like it tied perfectly back to Obito having the illusion of like people just living happily despite what was actually happening in the world. And you know, just the way that they framed it with, you know, he was Anakin again. He wasn't Darth Vader, he was Anakin, and he was back with the love of his life. I thought that it was really well done, and like flipping back and forth between reality and the illusion. I really liked that. It was very, very cool animation. There were some moments where I thought it was kind of stiff, but not nearly to the same extent as when I like have talked about it in other death battles, like you know, Dark Souls versus Skyrim. Like, that one was much more stiff compared to this one. I feel like a lot of times it's just, I want more of the animations to follow through. Like, when you swing a weapon, I don't know, sometimes they just seem to stop short, and it seems weird to me. I can make a little bit more sense of it with like Darth Vader because again, like very robotic, the lightsaber itself doesn't weigh anything, and so it's not like the follow through there is just like whatever flick of the wrist he does, you know, because there's not the weight at the end of like a lightsaber like there would be at the end of a battle axe or a sword, you know, and so it's different there. But even then, just some movement seems stiff, but overall I thought this was like a very fluid animation, and I just really enjoyed it. As for the analyses, I didn't think there was anything special about it necessarily. I thought that it was well done, like it gave me the information that I needed, and I thought that it was entertaining. Nothing just particularly stands out to me. The main like gimmicky sort of thing, the main like joke was just when Wiz was explaining the phasing thing, you know? I mean, I think my favorite part was just when Boomstick was like, wasn't this whole thing about stopping a war? And like, that's a good question. Anyway, you know, just that kind of thing. That's probably what I thought was the funniest part of the analyses. But you know, I thought they were perfectly serviceable. I don't have complaints about the analyses this time. So yeah. Good to leave that as it is. I do think that that's all that I have to say about the death battle, but I do want to talk really quickly about my reaction videos to death battle in particular. Recently, a bunch of the death battle videos, like several in a row, have had copyright claims whenever I've released them. And so what I try to do when that happens is YouTube sometimes has a feature, it's in beta to be fair, but sometimes has a feature where it lets me pick just the song in question, like just the song that is, you know, like causing the copyright claim, and lets me mute just that. And most of the time it works out just fine. I mean, people will inevitably complain because they're complainers. About how like, oh, the fight's so quiet now. I know, well, go watch the original death battle. You're supposed to anyway. You're not supposed to use this one to see the death battle. You're supposed to use this one to see my reaction. You don't need the music to see my reaction. I have the music, just trust in that. Anyway, but sometimes, like it did last time, apparently, it will mess up and mute more than just the song that, you know, caused the copyright claim. And how I've been trying to do these is like, you know, Death Battle comes out for first members. I'm a first member right now. Like on a Sunday, and then they release it to the public, you know, the next day on Monday. And I've been trying to release my reaction just like half an hour after the video has gone public, you know, like 1:30 on Monday. But that doesn't give me enough time to really fix mistakes when they pop up like that. And I have fixed mistakes before, like Dark Souls vs. Skyrim had an issue where I had to just mute the sound myself, but it was during the analyses, and so I typed up my own subtitles, and that took forever. You have no idea. It took so long to type up those subtitles and actually get them synced in and just everything, right? And like, yeah, I'm willing to do that in most cases, but I need time to be able to do it. And like, when I did that fix, it took me well into the AM, because for those of you who don't know, you know, my reactions, they're like 30 to 40 minutes typically, right? They're around that. It takes like 5 hours to render the video, and that's not anything about the editing time or the uploading time to YouTube. It's just to render that 40-minute video, it takes 5 hours. And so, you know, if I get right on it, like right now it is 2:16 p.m. Eastern, right? Where the video, the death battle came out, like I was able to get on it at like 1:30 or something. Around there is when I at least got to sit down and like start looking at my setup, my recording setup. And so like if I go straight from that to editing and then rendering, and then as soon as that's done, I upload it, then I have to wait for it to upload, then I have to wait for it to process once it's finished uploading, and then it runs the checks to see if there are copyright claims, then it will tell me, and then like I can try the beta song removal thing, and that usually takes a couple hours all on its own until it has like a result to show me. And so then if that works, great. If it doesn't, well, then I have to like start over, and there's another like 5 hours added onto my time just because of rendering. So it's a whole process that I feel like a lot of you are unaware of, and that's fair. If you don't edit videos, like that's understandable that you just wouldn't be in the loop for that kind of thing. And I'm aware that a lot of the processing time is just because I don't have a very powerful laptop. I mean, all that I do is on a laptop. It's a gaming laptop, yes, but it's from like, it's like 11 years old or something. I don't know. But the point is just like, I'm doing what I can, but there are definitely limits because I cannot make myself stay up until 5 a.m. just to put a video out that's going to earn me, frankly, like $10, you know? I don't know how much y'all think I earn from doing these reactions, because I assume you think I earn money, and I do, but it really is like I get $10 for doing a reaction video, you know? To Death Battle in particular. So, I just can't kill my sleep schedule, or I can't stress too much about this or that. Like, I'll do what I can, but I have limits. The stuff I'm working with has limits. All the copyright claims are incredibly annoying. Like, if you're annoyed by them, imagine how I must feel about them, etc. So thank you to those of you who have been patient with me and all of this thus far, and I hope that you will continue to be patient, and I hope that we can bring others into the fold of being patient as well. But I wanted to talk about this just so it's out there, because it has been a deal. So, now that we're done, let me know what you thought about this death battle in the comments below, whether you liked it, whether you disliked it, what you thought about this or that, etc., so on and so forth. Then next time we have the Phoenix versus Raven, which, yes, 2 birds, I did notice that. But yeah, with that, we're calling it here, so have a good one, everybody.